Indeed, it is. So here we are, what second Wednesday workshop of, I was going to say the week. It's not second Wednesday workshop of the week, second session of the week, second Wednesday workshop of the month and the year. Um, and we're continuing on exploring some of the principles and fundamentals of the mindscaping thing. So you can get more from it. And by understanding the principles behind it, you can kind of use them in different ways because the mindscaping is just one way of doing it. However, that approach might not quite work for some people. But if you kind of have a fundamental idea of what's underpinning it, then you can adapt it and change it or just kind of apply those principles and use them for yourself or for others in different ways. Um, so last week we were simply just noticing that our inner world already has a kind of shape to it. There's a sense of place without trying to change anything, just being aware that when we close our eyes and start to focus within, there is this space. There is this, and we're saying landscape because we're talking about maps, but inner world, but there is an awareness, if nothing else. Um, and this week we're going to stay with that kind of same approach, but we're going to nudge it forward another step to get a bit more exploration out of it and get a bit more from it. So tonight again is it's about exploring without fixing. Um, we're not looking at changing or altering the landscape, however that is to us. And remember, it doesn't have to be a visual landscape. It can just be the sense of something. Could be the idea, just be the thought of, well, if that was there, it would be this. But the fact that you're interacting with that concept of some inner space is the key thing. And just noticing what we already have there safely, enjoyably, and relaxing along the way because we can. So there is no right depth for this, and it is literally impossible to do this incorrectly. I really want to reaffirm that. It is impossible to do this incorrectly. However you relate to these processes is the right way for you. And in fact, that's the only way that you're ever going to really um, benefit from them. You can't, I mean, and this is a concept really, it goes back for me to when I first started doing my person-centered counseling training back when I was in my mid 20s. So a couple of years ago. Um, Actually younger than that, actually, mid early 20s. The idea of stepping into somebody else's reality, and yes, you can't know what exactly that's like for somebody else, but you can have the respect to just work within what they're presenting. So, and I think I've used this example, I might have even used it last week, but um, I recall being at a Mind Body Spirit event where this guy had some issue going on, but was convinced it all had to do with when he was kidnapped by aliens. I mean, being kidnapped by aliens is probably a really easier way of acknowledging that something's gone on in the past than maybe acknowledging what actually went on in the past. You know, I don't remember it. I was kidnapped by aliens. It could be a real great way of the mind just keeping a safety barrier between us and what that is. Now, as a change worker, as a therapist, as a somebody just trying to help a friend, the worst thing you can ever do is turn around when that person goes, "Oh yeah, well, I don't, I'm going to make something up now. I don't sleep very well at nights because I was kidnapped by aliens." Maybe it's got nothing to do with being kidnapped by aliens. Maybe they're on holiday once, and a bit like on Carry On Abroad, there was a flood and the hotel collapsed around them. Um, I don't know why that film popped into my head. Um, but that was all too traumatic. So it's easy to go, I was kidnapped by aliens once and something happened, but I don't remember what it is, but now I don't sleep bright. Read between the lines, something happened. That means they don't sleep well. how they frame it. If they sit there and it was kidnapped by aliens and I was driving along a street and they beamed me up and I don't really remember much after that, to sit there and go, talking a load of tosh there, aren't you? Aliens, what are you on about? You're never really going to help that person. Um, a friend of mine went for what's it, CBT counseling years ago now, albeit. Um, and when she said that she was into shamanism and magic and stuff like that, um, the therapist turned around and went, well, just before we start, we don't believe in that nonsense here. I was livid. I was so angry because actually, if you want to help somebody make changes, what a brilliant framework to work within, shamanism and blood magic, where it's all about inner worlds and changing things and making things appear and making things disappear. Oh, my life. And yet instantly you've got, no, no, that's all nonsense. We know that people believe in that have problems. It's just, it doesn't help. So there is no right or wrong experience within this. There is only your experience, and working with your experience will get you the best results. Whether it's being used just simply because the whole mind map thing, you can use literally just simply for helping you relax better, or you can use it for making changes in your life. Either way, there is no right or wrong way. It is impossible to do it incorrectly. I think I've made that point. So let's get into it. I don't want to do lots and lots of talking. I'm very much liking the idea that we do these things on practical levels, starting off this year. So let's, because this matters, getting the body comfortable, getting relaxed. We don't need to take people into deep hypnosis and trance for this, but we do need to shift the attention from the outer world to the inner world, and to do that nice and comfortably and safely. So let's begin by just settling our bodies again, just like we did last time, just so our attention has somewhere just comfortable and safe to rest. So just have a fidget, get comfortable, become aware of the contact of your body on the chair, or if you're lying on a bed listening to this, whatever your body's being supported by, knowing there's nothing, that weight is being supported, there's nothing to hold up. And let's take 3 wonderful deep breaths together, breathing in, hold it, and breathe out. Breathing in, hold it, breathe out, breathing in, hold it, and breathe out. Just return to your natural breath. You see, I don't know whether you begin or began to relax on the first breath, whether you began to relax on the second breath, or whether it was the third breath when you began to relax. But as you sit here now, breathing continues on its own. The room that you're in supports you, and there's nowhere you need to go. In fact, you do not need to relax deeply, just enough to notice you are supported with each breath. And with each breath, as attention turns inward again, you may begin to notice the sense of inner space that we touched on last week, just starting to return. or even appearing in a slightly different way. Because the person we were last week isn't the person we are this week. Things have happened. So maybe that inner space turns up the same, or maybe it feels slightly different. As that inner landscape forms in its own way, just allow it to do so without effort. Just a sense that there is that inner space, and that landscape forms within in its own way. And just observe that inner space for a while. That's right. And as that inner landscape begins to form, what is that you notice now? You may find it's familiar or subtly different, even simpler or easier than last time. All of that is fine, because the map, the inner landscape, is allowed to change. And so, without moving anywhere, I want you to just notice in that inner landscape what it feels like is in front of you, what its sense is like, what comes to you in this inner place as being there in front of you. What, what's there? What do you notice about it? What's the overall sense and feeling behind that? And remember, even nothing is something. There's no right or wrong. Just what is that now in front of you in this inner place? And there's really no need to name it clearly. Just noticing the sense of it is enough. And like I said, if there's nothing, that's okay too. Sometimes the landscape is open, quiet, or spacious. But whatever that sense is of what's before you now, just let that be enough. That's right. And so now you may also begin to become aware of a sense of distance, a horizon, or something just further away in this inner landscape. I don't know what that is you begin to notice, but you do not have to move towards it. You just notice it from where you are. You can always observe from a distance. And as you notice that distant sense of things, you may also notice your body remains here, settled, supported, comfortable, and safe. Whatever that is, you don't need to approach it. Distance is enough. Awareness just from here is enough. And so for a while, within that inner landscape, for the next few moments, we do nothing with what's there. We don't try and fix things. We don't try moving close or analyzing things. Just noticing from where you already are, with the body relaxed, settled. There really is nothing to do. Just be with this awareness. Every time you notice it again, it may feel a little more familiar, a little less urgent, simply because it is being allowed. And as you sit there relaxing in that awareness, want to name something important about what you're experiencing. In mindscaping, when working with the inner worlds, inner self like this, real change doesn't begin with the fixing or improving. It begins with safe orientation, knowing where you are and what it's like to be there. Tonight, you've not moved towards anything. There's been no analyzing. We're not trying to make sense of what you're experiencing. Simply allow your inner world to be noticed from where you already are. And that's why distance matters. When experience is observed from a settled place in the body, the unconscious mind can respond without pressure. Nothing needs to be approached. Nothing needs to be resolved. Awareness from a safe distance is often enough. And when working on the inner worlds, in mindscaping, in different formats, this kind of exploration creates a trust. And when trust is present, the inner landscape can begin to reorganize itself quietly, naturally, and in its own time. So if this feels subtle, simple, or even uneventful, it's not a problem. Because this is how change starts, when it's allowed to be gentle. Nothing to do, nothing to fix, just allowing what's there to be known. And again, each time you notice it, it may feel a little more familiar or a little less urgent, simply because it's being allowed. So in a moment, not yet, we'll gently return attention to the room. And you really do not need to remember details. The unconscious mind will keep track of what really matters. So begin to notice the chair or the bed where you're lying, sitting, being aware of the weight of your body, any sounds in the room. And just gently allow yourself to drift back, keeping your eyes closed for a while, bringing that sense of being able to notice without forcing back with you. And as you gently return, what we practiced here tonight is something many people rarely allow themselves. Most of the time when we notice something internally, a feeling, a tension, a thought, the next move is to fix it or change it or get rid of it. When we're working on the inner, whether it's mindscaping or any technique, it takes a different approach. And that first step is just letting that experience be known comfortably and safely from a distance if needed, or changing the imagery of it, or if we're helping someone else, stepping into their experience of it, even if that is aliens. So over the coming days, rest of this week, you really don't need to do anything special, but just notice moments when you automatically try to fix your experience. And it's something we all do. But as you're noticing it, occasionally, just pause. Ask yourself, what happens if I just let this be known? Without moving towards it, without feeling I've got to go and do something about it. What if I just sit with it and let it be, and let it be known? And don't be surprised if that alone starts to change how you're relating to it. Possibly more than making too much effort can do. So, as you're returning, as you're coming back, knowing that that's enough for this week, when you're ready to be here now, relaxed, nourished, bringing everything that's relevant from that experience with you, maybe questions as well. Then you can, when you're truly ready to feel good and have a good rest of the week, you can open your eyes and be here now. Have a stretch, have a fidget. That's it. And when you're back, just pop your cameras on, say hello.